Well, good morning everybody. It's been a few weeks, but there you go. I've been busy. I just thought I'd give you a brief rundown on meeting my latest encounter with the Carters, which was Saturday just gone. To explain, I went up to a place called George Square. It's also known as Freedom Square. And in Glasgow there was a rally, an independence rally, because we've got elections coming up in Britain. And in Scotland, I don't know if you know this, but half the population at least wants Scotland to be an independent country. And the party who represents that are called the SNP. So the SNP were doing a rally, and there were a lot of speakers there. And there was about 20,000 people packed into George Square, which is the central square in Glasgow. And at the other side of George Square are these guys called the Unionists. Now the Unionists represent, the Unionists don't have skin on their knuckles, and they represent, you know, the people of Scotland who want Scotland to be part of the Union, which involves England, Northern Ireland and Wales. And Scotland is saying, actually, no, we want our own independence because we think we could do things a lot better than the way things run in Westminster. And when you look at the whole Brexit mess, you can't argue with that. So needless to say, there's 20,000 people there, there's flags galore, the Unionists, one end of their union flags making a little bit of a noise, lots of other people with their Scottish flags, saltires and what have you, and me with my English flag and the Scottish saltire. And I was going around the square, just taking in the vista, and lo and behold, right on the corner are the Carters. Unbelievable. I just thought to myself, you are kidding me on. You're definitely here to take advantage of this rally. And they do what they normally do. They're doing what they normally do. They're just standing there, very aware that that everybody here is trying to improve their country right now, but they know that there's no point to it all because obviously everything's going to be destroyed. So they're there warning us to not listen, to forget about the rally, forget about independence, forget about being part of the union, but the most important thing is to listen to them. That's why they were stopping us in the street, just saying, look, we've got a really important message here. If you do not listen to what we're going to say, that you're going to be put to death at Armageddon. No, they weren't doing that because they were doing what they normally do. They were just standing there as though they were dumbfounded maybe. They were just standing there silent with their little carts, not, who are they? What's this about? Is this, it's just unbelievable. So I just thought, I had my big pole here. So I had my big pole here with my 3 flags on the top. So I just go up to them like this. And I just said to them, so who are you for? Are you for yes or no? In other words, are you for yes for independence or no? And it's an older bloke and a younger woman. She must be in her maybe late 20s, early 30s. He's maybe 60, I don't know. And I address him first, and he goes, "Oh, we're for neither." And I went, "Ooh, this is intriguing." As I gave the sort of response that I don't know who you really are, and I know nothing about your religion. And he goes, "Oh no, we're for God's kingdom." And I go, and I just looked at him puzzled, says, "God's kingdom?" He says, yeah, that's who we're voting for. That's who we believe is going to make things right in this country. And I said, all right. I says, that's interesting. I says, so when's this going to happen then? Knowing the answer, when's this going to happen? And he went, of course, very soon. I said, very soon. I says, all right. I says, but haven't you, all of a sudden I just then sort of played along with it. I says, but haven't you guys been saying this for a long time now? And he goes, yes, but it will not delay. It will not delay. The scriptures say it will come in God's due time. I says, but when? He says, well, the things are really bad in the world at the moment. The things are bad. And I said to him, I says, well, hold on a second. I said, I would rather right now live 2019 in Europe at the moment than between 1939 and 1945. I really, really would. And then the woman chirped and says, but that's, it depends what your perspective you're talking from. Because the people in Syria at the moment, where they live at the moment is horrible. I says, yes. I says, but you're talking about one country. says, I'm talking about 39 to 45. It was Europe. It was the Pacific. You know, it was a world war. If ever there was a time for God to say, right, I've got to come in and sort out this mess because you're killing each other in your millions, and there's concentration camps over there where there's, my chosen people are getting executed, where my old chosen people are getting absolutely wiped out in their millions. I better come in now. I said, surely that would have been a more appropriate time to come in. And she goes, well, not for the Syrian people. So clearly that flew right over her head. And I just then thought I'd change tack, and I said straight to her, I says, tell me something. And I went back to him. I says, can you explain the overlapping generations thought? And he went, I don't know what you mean. I says, well, can you explain to me how overlapping generation works? And he says, I don't know what you're talking about. And all of a sudden you could see the woman going, clicked on, hold on a second, this guy knows a little bit about the witnesses, what's going on here? And she goes straight to, and I said, hopefully you know what this means. I says, it's one of your main teachings. And she went to me, well, what to you, what's a generation? And I says, well, a generation is the generation that's born round about the same year and then dies off round about the same year. That is that generation. She says, well, me and you are different ages, we're all different ages, but we're all that generation. She says, well, not really, we're not. I says, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I says, I was a Jehovah's Witness for 28 years, and I went out witnessing to people on the belief that the generation that saw 1914, 1918 would by no means pass away. And she says, yes, but we lived along with that generation at the same time, so we're contemporary with that generation. I says, yes, but but the Bible doesn't say generations, it says generation, referring to that generation, not contemporary generations after that generation. I says, that doesn't make any sense. I says, for instance, the witnesses back then had millions now living, will never die. I says, they've all died. I says, and the teaching was quite clear. The generation that will by no means pass away. When I went to people's doors and people said to me, oh, I love the idea about stroking a badger. I love the badger story. When's this going to happen? When's this going to be this paradise where I can stroke as many badgers as I like? And I'll go, well, you see your granddad? Before he dies, it's going to come. Fantastic. That's the story we had. That's the belief we had. That's what empowered us to go out doing what we did. I said, and then all of a sudden they changed the teaching. I said, can you explain to me, therefore, if that was the teaching back then, why the necessity, if God's using the witnesses, why is the necessity to change the teaching? And he comes back with, well, the light says... Oh, see that light growing brighter and brighter. And she sort of finished it off for him. And I went, look, I said, you can't cherry pick a scripture and apply it, and misapply it to the way that witnesses change their teachings frequently. I said, you can't do that. I said, that's a really poor excuse, to be honest with you. And I said, yeah, and I even looked at the card, I says, yeah, and even this jw.org, I says, this whole evangelism that you see, I says, that's abhorrent to what I knew when I was a witness. And she goes, well, we never ask for money. We never ask for money. I'm going, well, beg your pardon, I've seen the video where Stephen Lett, not so long ago, goes on and says, brothers, we've looked at the finances, and unless we get your money, we're going to run out. We need your money in this fiscal year or whatever it is, because we've looked at the figures, we're short of cash. So we need your contributions. We need your contributions. I said, so therefore, I'm sorry, you do ask for money. And she says, yes, I do know the video you're talking about. And well, you should do, because it's on your own channel. And it wasn't that long ago. I says, and this also explains why all of a sudden you get the control of kingdom halls that have gone from the congregation, that have now been assigned over the right to the ownership of the kingdom hall, to the organisation. I says, that's all about money. And she says, well, we're transparent. We're a charity. Everybody knows where that money goes. I says, no, they don't. I says, what you're doing is you're amalgamating 3 congregations into 2, and then you're putting up the old Kingdom Hall for sale for the money. I says, what's the money for? She says, it's all transparent. It's all for the preaching work. I says, no, it's not. She says, yes, it is. I says, no, it's not. I says, it's to pay all the call settlements for all the child sex abuse cases. Of course, if you say that, I don't normally go down that road, but it had to be done. And and all of a sudden her back went straight up, and she said, look, every organisation has a few people, a few bad apples, and we've got policies put in place now, and that can't happen again. And I went, hold on a second. I says, when I was a witness, we used to make fun of the Catholic Church. Well, not fun. We used to that was our proof that it wasn't God's organisation, because they allowed these things to happen, and he moved these guys on. The Catholic Church was aware that there were the paedophiles in the organisation, in their organisation, did nothing about it. I says, that's exactly the same witnesses. I've found out subsequently that they knew about it back then, but they concealed it. I says, that's where the money's going. And she says, no, it's not. I says, look, I says, don't go onto apostate websites. Don't go anything. I says, just Google it. Just Google that Jehovah's Witnesses recently applied and got knocked back from the United States Supreme Court to try and get them, either to get a case thrown out or whatever it was, so that they wouldn't have to pay compensation claims. I says, that's where your money's going to. So she then therefore said to us, look, we're getting nowhere here. And I says, yes, we're not. I says, but I do ask you both to do your research. I don't think this guy was an elder. Maybe he was just a pioneer, but I think maybe what I said, maybe the cock's whirring in his head a bit. And so I left in good terms. I just said, look, I understand why you're doing what you do, and I appreciate what you're doing. I says, but honestly, I says, you need to do your research. And I said, well, thanks for your time, and I left. And then I counted my time. No, I didn't count my time. I'm sure they were counting their time. I'm witnessing to them, and they're counting their time, allegedly witnessing to me. But anyhow, I just thought I'd give you a brief. It wasn't brief. That was all it actually. That's my latest encounter with the Carters, and we left on good terms. And I'll be sending Christmas cards this year. Anyway, have a nice day, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.